Nobody plays the hits like this, brother.
You already know.
Yeah. Into the Midday Lounge with the Midday Love.
Oh, yeah.
Jackie Tramel and the Midday Crew, Crystal and K. Rose.
Yep, that's my crew.
Global R&B 96.3, the real deal in digital radio, man. It's a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. We gonna do what we always do. We're gonna bust you upside the head with a dope conversation as well as the best in R&B. I got my beautiful, my delectable, the queen, the chocolate queen of radio. Go ahead, Coco. Go ahead and talk to him, baby.
What's up, everybody? I hope y'all are doing well today. How was your week, Jackie? What you had going on?
I mean, it's work, making money, telling people what to do as always. How about yourself?
Work, you already know. Getting to the money. It never ends, huh?
Yes, Lord. Go ahead, Coco.
Well, I'm done. That's true. Work, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Keep it going.
So today's conversation, y'all, look, I had to think about it because it's about to get serious, y'all. I ain't ready for today's conversation. We're going to talk into about what families need to know when it comes to end-of-life planning. Trust me, it's definitely not easy to discuss, but it's more than just choosing caskets and flowers. So
yeah, that's real. So, we're going to talk about planning ahead and dealing with loss or even a recent loss. So there's going to be a lot that goes with it that people just didn't realize. So for us to help everybody out today, I wanted to bring in a professional with this. So she got about 10 years of experience inside the funeral business. I don't know, funeral industry. I don't know how to say that professionally without sounding messed up. Funeral industry. We got my player partner. I'm glad she came to do this. We got Candace Shelton in the building, man.
welcome to the show, Candace. We're so happy to have you today.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, man. So Candace, well, you know what? Before we get all the way started, go ahead and talk to them. Tell them a little bit about yourself. So we know you got time in the industry. So what made you get into this industry? What made you, want to do this thing? Talk to us.
So I've been wanting to do this and be in this industry since I was about 12 years old. And what started it, I just was intrigued with death as far as what happens to the body, as weird as that may sound, but it was very intriguing. And then on top of it, I've just always been able to handle death as a child, and I work well under pressure. So that's what made me want to go into this industry.
Okay. So this one's definitely gonna be for the people. So y'all want to hit the hotline 804-476-2306. So just to give you a quick background, so we've been kind of going over a little series. We talked about life insurance last week. We talked about some funeral stuff the week before about somebody taking on all the pressures of actually paying for the funeral and the family members not helping. So I was like, you know what? We need to make sure that we actually help the people out. So let's start at the beginning. What's the first thing that families should do when a loved one passes, especially if they pass away, rather sudden?
So first, I feel you need to stop, take a step back, and really grasp what happened.
Yeah.
Come to terms with what happened, because it's going to be a lot. And then I also feel, honestly, what needs to take place first is before the death occurs. You need to have your house in order before the passing, to be honest. However, a lot of people don't. So grasp what happened, and then, you call the funeral home of choice, and then allow them to lead and direct and help you.
Okay. So my question is, a lot of people, they think pre-planning a funeral, it can be kind of morbid, but can you explain why pre-arrangements can actually be a gift to your family?
Yes, it is definitely a gift. And the way I look at it, to be honest, it's like the blueprint of your last wishes. And a lot of people advocate about life insurance, which life insurance is important, yes. However, another option, you yourself can just pay for your funeral flat out. You can pick out the casket. You can pick out from if you want to be cremated, whatever your wishes are from start to finish, you can pick it out. So when that time comes, your family can go to the funeral home of choice of which you already picked and said, yes, my mother, my sister, whomever it was that passed away. They'll have all the arrangements and basically everything is done. You're not
Yeah,
gonna you're not left. Your family's not left deciding. Well, what
that
would
part.
Big Ma want? What would
Yeah.
Papa want?
Yeah.
Big Ma and Papa already figured everything out. All you have to do
Mm-hmm.
is show up at this point and pick a day that you want the funeral to be
Yeah,
held.
I was just saying that if I can run it back, I was just telling Coco last about 2 weeks ago, like I ain't tell you, Candace, but my grandfather passed away back in January,
My
and
condolences
he
to
was
you.
thank you,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So he was 96, and the great thing about it is my grandmother. And I ain't gonna say great thing about it, but you know what I mean. My grandmother passed away probably about 5, 7 years ago. So she was already laid to rest. My
Mm.
grandfather already had the casket picked out. He already had his suit picked out. He
Yeah.
like down to the T. My only thing my aunties, uncles, which there's 9 of them, the only thing they had to do was just pick the funeral date, and everything else was already taken care of. And that took a lot of the burden off of our families when it came to that. So
Yes.
that's a great. I'm glad you said that part. So with
And one
mhm,
thing though, which people don't may not know or understand, when that happens, when you do the pre-arrangements and pay for everything, the only thing your family will be left to pay for is taxes, because you can't
okay,
pay for taxes up front. And if someone is choosing to be buried, you'll have to pay for the open and close of the grave during the
Oh,
time. Yes.
okay.
So there are expenses at that time.
Mm.
However, the bulk of everything will be paid for, and or because a good thing about pre-planning, you can make payments. If your funeral is 10,000, you don't have to write the check for 10,000 right then and
hmm
there. You can make payments. So if someone passes away before the payments, it will be some expense. But
okay,
at
Right.
least you'll know their wishes, because what I have seen, some families, make it about them and they get
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
controlling. So that minimizes all of that as
Mm-hmm.
well.
okay. So you talked about the payment. So let's talk about some myths. So let's talk about some myths. So at least when it comes to the cost of it, like some things I always heard is cremation is going to is a little bit cheaper, and they think that insurance covers everything. So can you like break down to what families should really expect in terms of the funeral expenses?
So cremation, yes, can be cheaper. And
Okay.
also it depends on where you go as well. A lot of times you pay for name with anything. So I've
Yeah.
seen cremations as low as a direct cremation, because it's many types of ways you can have a funeral. For instance, when my sister passed away in 2015, her wishes were to be cremated. But I had a full service for my sister, meaning she
Yeah.
was in a casket, her body was there. We had a full funeral, and at the end of everything, that's when she was cremated. So
Mm.
Mm.
you're paying for a funeral plus cremation, so that's going to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
Direct cremation is the person dies and directly they get cremated, and I've
Yeah.
seen where that can be from 900 to 1,000 starting, or starting direct cremation could be $4,000.
Mm. Now I have
So
a question for
uh-huh.
cremation, because with cremation, I've heard someone discuss that when it comes to a private funeral home versus a commercial funeral home, you should do more commercial because of the ashes. Like I've heard where ashes gotten misplaced. Have you heard of
Mm.
anything like that happening?
So it can happen. I've seen it on the news. People lie and say, yes, this is your loved one, and then they found bodies in the attic or in the back.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So as far as commercial and private, the ashes won't be different. Your bones is your bones. When the
hmm
flesh burns, it's all bone. So the location, it doesn't determine how the ashes will come out, if that makes
Yeah.
any
Okay,
sense.
okay.
Yeah, you just have to go with your gut instinct on um you know intuition and the funeral's home reputation.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know you work behind the scenes. Can you walk us through what goes into preparing like someone for viewing or burial, and why that matters? Why is that important?
That's very important, because we are not allowed to touch or do anything to a person's loved one without permission,
hmm
Okay.
from head to toe. So for men or even women, sometimes you may have facial hair. We have to have permission to cut it, trim it, whatever it is that the family chooses to have done to their loved one.
Okay.
So we need permission. We bathe. Every single person comes and gets a bath. We wash their hair. So you have to have permission to handle your loved one. Also with cremation, like you said, about your grandfather who passed away, although he wasn't cremated,
Yeah.
but you said it's about 9 children, correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if he were to be cremated, or if someone in that situation, every child has to sign off giving permission to cremate that parent.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
especially like if the person wasn't married, or if the wife or husband was not able to make decisions on that person, every child has to sign off and give permission to cremate that person.
Okay, man. Listen, hey, Candace, don't go nowhere. We're gonna hit a quick lick. We gotta pay a
Okay.
couple bills because this is important. Hey, we be back in a second. Hit the hotline 804-476-2306. Man, we talking about this today. So we need to have this discussion inside our community. Global R&B.
What up, everybody? This is Zoe from the Yay area, listening to Jackie T live on Global R&B 96.3.
Hey man, I appreciate you, Zoe, keeping it locked in with the best R&B on the planet. Listen, before that break, we was really getting into it. We was talking about some things you can expect when you have a loss inside your family, and you gotta bury them all of a sudden, or I don't want to say bury, when you have to prepare for the funeral or memorial services. So on the line, excuse me, not on the line, in the building, we still got my homie Candace Shelton. You still with us,
I'm
Candace?
still here.
All right. So what I wanted to do, I wanted to ask you this question. What's some of the common mistakes or oversights that you see families that they make when they're planning their funeral?
That's a very good question. And to be honest, I feel like planning a funeral is very personal and intimate, just like having a baby or having a wedding, although it's a sadder occasion, yes. But I say that to say there's no right or wrong way. What I see where mistakes are is not having your house in order,
Okay.
not knowing where important documentation is, not knowing what
Talk about it.
documentations you need. Because yes, Big Ma passed away, but guess what? There's still houses that need attention to, bank accounts, social security. It's still business that needs to be taken care of for your loved one, and not having your house in order, I will say, is the number one mistake.
Okay.
Mercy.
That's deep. You really hit the nail on the head with that. So let's talk culture, because in our community, there's sometimes a reluctance to talk about death at all. So how can we start having healthier and more proactive conversations about death in general?
Ooh, talk
Very
about it.
good
Talk about that.
question. And I feel like sometimes it's one person, and fortunately and unfortunately, I feel like I'm that one person in my family. You just have to take the initiative to say, listen, we need to talk. Even if we don't fully go into the motion and start paying or picking out a funeral home, I think what's mainly important, this is just personal me, I need to know what you want. I need to know how you want to be honored. Because when someone dies, it's really about them. And I think sometimes, as far as culture, we as Black people, it's time to put on a show. The funeral for Black people is all about the show, the outfit, the this, the that. And it's more to, like, have your house in order. You want to show, but then you don't know how you're paying for this funeral. Or the person that passed away didn't want any of this, of what you're choosing for their home going celebration, but this is what you want, so this is what you're going to do. And that's not properly honoring someone. So I can't stress enough, those conversations need to be had.
Culture. Yeah.
I was definitely about to ask an off the wall question, like, cause I know some families be acting up inside, when their family die, like this is off the wall for real, Candace. Like, what do y'all do, like, to calm the family down? Cause like, do y'all have grief counselors on site, or is that?
So we don't. However, some situations there are security, there's police officers there. But what the funeral home does provide, there are grief counselings for after the fact. You can come and have counseling after the funeral service is over with. You can even contact the funeral home. I tell my families all the time, call me. You're not a bother. You have a question, because things come up still.
Yeah.
and sometimes this is the first time someone is dealing with death or planning a funeral, and you don't know until you're in it. So I allow my
Right.
families to lean on me. It could be, a door you may not want to open, but I really love what I do. But there are
Hmm.
counseling classes that you can attend that the funeral home offers.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Oh,
So I
that
know
is nice. Yeah.
you taught me something new with that. So we talked about the grief part. So what are some other resources that like the family can, some other resources or services for, like, say for example, like to lighten the load on the family if they either they can't handle it emotionally, or they can't handle it on the financial tip, but they can't like literally afford the services for the financially for the, like, is there any resources for them that they can
Ye-
have or on
Yeah,
that?
so honestly, you can pay for a funeral with credit.
Okay.
There is credit. I currently reside in the state of Indiana, and what I've learned that Indiana has is Medicaid, because I'm sorry, I always get Medicare and Medicaid kind of mixed up, but Medicaid pays for funerals for families, and they give up to $12,000. There is,
Wow.
yeah, there is some out of pocket cost to the family of maybe 2,500, but they give about $12,000, and you get an hour visitation, and you get a full service. If that's what you choose, you could do burial or cremation. So there are financial options. You just have to ask and see what your options are. But there are
Oh, so
options.
That's
so
good to know.
so these families they don't really, okay, I don't want to sound ghetto or nothing like that. So they don't have to do GoFundMe's like that. So there are some better options than just GoFundMe, because everybody always go straight to the GoFundMe to pay for my funeral costs, like they
So
can't
I'm
do it.
in Indiana, and this is the first that
Mhm.
I've heard of this Medicaid paying for.
Oh,
It
okay,
depends
okay.
on where you are.
Mm.
Okay.
You have to
Okay.
see whatever state you're in, what options you have, what resources are out there. Um,
Hmm.
and then sometimes you might just have to, like I said, I know some places where direct cremation is $900. You might just have to
Yeah.
choose that.
Oh,
And then
wow.
if you're part of a church, you can have a memorial and just give a donation to the church. You don't have to pay that
Okay.
fee to, rent out, a chapel or something.
Yeah.
It's options. It's options.
Man, you taught me something new today.
Me too.
Well,
That's good to
good.
know. So we have one final question for you, Miss Candace. If you could just give us one piece of advice to anyone listening right now, what would it be when it comes to end of life planning? Like, what's just one piece of advice that would really help our listeners
I
today?
cannot stress enough is to have those hard conversations, to find out what it is that your loved one truly wants, to find out where they keep their important documentations. We have to talk as a family,
Mhm.
as friends. You have to have, and I just think in life, even in personal relationships, a lot of those hard conversations are important to have. So I cannot stress enough to the people, you guys, have your house in order.
And Candace, we appreciate you being with us today and educating the masses on here today. We
Yes.
think this conversation is gonna go out to the masses. So we thank you for being here and giving us your time to talk to the people today, Candace.
Thank you for
Yes.
having
Thank you.
me.
Thank you for coming. We
Yes, I
appreciate you.
appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
All right. I don't know if you want to do this. I'm putting you on the spot, so I don't know if you got it. You got it. I don't know if you got any handles you want to give in case you want people to like contact you or anything like that. I don't know if you got any handles you want to give, but
I don't have any social media or anything, but I'm definitely open to questions. If they want to reach out to you, they can, and you
okay.
can reach out to me. I'm more than willing. I have an email that I could give out if somebody wants to reach me by email. But like I said, I don't have social media. But
Yeah,
I'm able to get in contact with, especially if they go through you. I know you have social media, Coco. I'm
you
pretty sure
know it.
you do. Y'all feel
Yes.
free to say, hey, Candace, I have some people that want to talk to you, and I will definitely reach out to them.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Listen, this is what I want y'all to do. If y'all got some questions, go ahead and send it to contact us at globalrnb@gmail.com, or you can leave it in the comments when we post this on YouTube, Spotify, and all the other social media platforms. We're gonna be back in a second. It's Global R&B 96.3 Global R&B.